Hey there, let's go over the SERP Sonar app bar basics. Once you have installed the plugin, make sure you come over here to the extension dropdown. Make sure you come down here and pin the actual SERP Sonar icon. That'll put it in the toolbar up here. And then what I like to do is also drag that icon over here to the far left side. Because what you're going to be doing is clicking on this icon in order to kick off the scan. And we've got a keyword locked and loaded here, and all you do is click on that icon to start the scan. And you'll notice that you get a little status here. We try to scan up to 100 pages. Usually Google doesn't give a full 100. Let's see how many we get in this case. Okay, so we got a total of 95 pages. One of which we had an error on. So there's a couple of reasons this happens, but basically the plugin attempts to pull down a bunch of data from all of the SERP results pages. Occasionally it is unable to complete the scan, and so it'll identify those pages down here. You'll see the word timeout next to that result. As long as those pages are not among the top 10 here, we could just scan down and yeah, the timeout is further down the results page. So it's not really statistically relevant if it's not really in the top 10 or top 20. The other thing you see over here on the left is the sonar depth. Now, by default, we pull data for up to 100 results, and the data that's shown here reflects all of those results. We also generate very detailed data reports, and there's multiple reports here. All of it's part of the free plugin. But sometimes folks may just want to see the data roll-ups for the top 10. Having said that, you can see 10, 20, 50, or all results here. There's another little interesting bit of functionality that you can do with the sonar depth setting. We'll come back to that a little later. We're also going to cover this section in more detail. I'll finish up over here on the right side of the app bar. There's a little data snapshot here. One of the obvious ones is the average word count. KGR is here as well. We calculate KGR accurately and in real time. I'm going to come back and talk a little more about this towards the end, about how we do this. Take note that that's there. On the right side here, we've got an export button. This exports a CSV file. It will give you all 100 or so results. It'll give you URL, title, H1, it'll give some other stuff as well. If you have things that you would like to have pulled from the page themselves, included in that export, drop me a note, let me know what you're looking for, and we'll see if we can get it implemented. The report button just kicks off another report. If you close this inadvertently, you can always reopen the report. And then the AI settings are here. When you first install the plugin, this will be turned off. When you go to turn it on, you'll get this little pop-up, lets you put in your OpenAI API key, and then you can go and save the settings, and that drives the AI content report, which we will cover in more detail in a separate video. The other thing we have is this little notification section at the bottom where we put little tips and tricks, some pointers to articles that might be of interest on serpsonar.com. So you can check those out. This main section here, though, this is what we're going to spend a little chunk of time on. So these are what we call the keyword detector settings. So these 5 sections cover 5 different feature elements. So starting on the left side, we have the SERP titles, or the title we actually see in the SERP, and not to be confused with the original page title, which is not always the same. Then, of course, we have the SERP descriptions, which is the descriptive areas underneath the title in the SERP. And then we also have the page URL, whether the keyword is in the URL or not. It's not always easy to observe it with the naked eye. SERP Sonar makes it easy. So these first 3 sections are colored differently because the functionality is a little different. All 3 of these feature types are visually observable in the SERP. So we can see the SERP title, description, and URL when we cast our eyes down the page. Now, across these subsections, there are 3 different types of settings. At the top, the all words in here would be the equivalent of an all in title search. So this is the number of pages that have all in title match on the SERP title. How many of those titles are exact keyword matches? There are 1. So one of these 4 are also an exact keyword match. And then, of course, there are also 15 out of 95 that the title doesn't have even one of these words in. And that's interesting information as well, that 15 pages managed to rank without having any of those words in the title. And so the same is applied across all of them. This is all words in description, exact keyword in description, and so on, and same with URL. The color highlights we see control whether those elements will be highlighted in the search engine results page. If you keep an eye on this first result here, where the title is highlighted in yellow, it's highlighted in yellow. This tells us that this title is an all-in-title match. If I uncheck this first box up here, it is no longer highlighted in yellow. By unchecking this, we're saying, I'm not interested in seeing all-in-title matches highlighted in the SERP. If I check it again, it will be highlighted again. The last two sections over here on the right, these refer to the actual page titles and page descriptions. So unlike the SERP title and description and URL, we cannot actually see the page title or description in the SERP. But we would have to actually open the individual pages in order to see the content and details. So in order to identify whether, for example, the original page title is an all-in-title or exact-in-title match, we put these little flags here. So we see right over here PET and PED. So what this says is that the original page title includes an exact keyword match. Page exact in title. If I come over here and I uncheck exact keyword in title, if I uncheck this, I still have the all-in-title checked. So this PET turned into PAT. And if I uncheck that one, then the flag disappears entirely. So this tells us that you may have already figured out if the original page title has an exact keyword match, but the SERP title is only an all-in-title match. That means that Google must have rewritten this title. And in fact, it did. We see here TT change means title tag change. This flag indicates that Google rewrote the title. This flag says that the description was rewritten. So if you at a glance just want to understand how many pages are targeting the keyword, a true all-in-title match, which is what this will give you a good idea of that at a glance. And then by highlighting them or putting these flags, you can easily go down and scan to see which pages are all-in-title matches. How you interpret this data is something I'm going to cover in more detail in another video, but this gives you an idea of how these keyword detector settings work, what they do, and why we have them. One of the last things I'll mention is that it is the page title that we use to determine the true all-in-title. If you've used Google's search operator all-in-title, you know that it is broken, like seriously foobar. SERP Sonar fixes that. This is an accurate, true all-in-title. And I have keywords everywhere enabled. And so if you have keywords everywhere enabled and you have credits, then you will be able to get a KGR calculation. SERP Sonar will take your keywords everywhere data from over here. It will use the all-in-title match over here, and it will calculate the KGR. It will always calculate the number, regardless of the search volume. But if it is a KGR compliant keyword, then we'll also highlight it in green. And so that's why this one actually is. If you're in this niche, law of attraction for health is a KGR compliant keyword. Go get it. Oh, you know what? I said I was going to come back to Sonar depth. So let me show you one more thing. Again, we have this average word count over here. So we're on the all results, and the average word count is 2,496, almost 2,500 words. If we go down to 10 results, you'll see that there's 2,593. It's almost exactly the same. If we change it to 20 results, we see that the average word count goes down to 2,338. If we change it to the top 50 results, we see that it goes down to 2,206. What we're seeing is that the higher ranking pages tend to have more words. And sometimes you will see very strong trends when you do this. And it can go both ways. Sometimes more words are being rewarded, like here, where the top 10 has a much higher average word count. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes you will see top 50 results or in all results, the number will be very large, and the top 10 ranking pages, the average word count will be much lower. In those cases, you can take that as a signal. Google is not necessarily rewarding you for creating an article with a higher word count. So Using Sonar Depth, you can just do a quick comparison on any keyword, and you can see the difference between top ranking and the 2050 or all results, and see if there's a meaningful difference there. So there you go. That is the SERP Sonar app bar. Those are the basics. We'll cover other sections of the app in other videos. I'll see you there.